Hey guys, thanks for joining me again for another build video. Today I'm going to be talking about the Javazon, so let's just go ahead and jump right in. So, Javazon. For our main ability, it's going to be Lightning Fury. And for our main melee single target ability, it's going to be Charge Strike, okay? And we will need one in each of these, and one in each of these for defenses, quite nice. But our Pierce, with all of our plus skills from our gear and charms, we will get around level 9, level 10 Pierce. And combine that with the Razor Tail, and we'll have 100% Pierce. So we'll be good on that. Alright, for our synergies, we're going to need to max Lightning Strike, as well as a Lightning Bolt here. And as you can see, we're already getting quite high in the points. This is our final synergy that we'll max. And if you really want to max that synergy, well, you're going to have to go to level 98, okay? And for the final point, maybe just go with Crit Strike, okay? But for the purposes of leveling, this will probably be something you want to max last. But to show the build for illustrative purposes, we'll go ahead and just max that. Alright? So Lightning Fury is our main ability, and Charge Strike is our main single target attack. Alright, for the gear, we're going to go with Griffin's Eye for the helm. And even though it has castrate, we aren't going to be using Enigma on this build. We're going to be using this purely for the lightning and the skills and the defense, okay? Now for the socket, for this socket, you can go either an rune, or I recommend going with a jewel here. And you're going to want a ruby with the enhanced damage version, Jewel of Fervor. Alright. We'll go with the green just to show that it's the Amazon, you know. Okay. For the amulet, we're going to go with Cat's Eye, and that's because of the increased attack speed, and it's also got some pretty nice stats as well. Including a nice, huge bonus to dexterity there. Alright, for our armor, we're going to go with Chains of Honor and the Archon Plate, and if you can get a superior one, that would be nice. Not necessary though. But yeah, we're going to need this for the resists, and also for the Burr Rune has a tiny bit of damage reduction. And also the skills and damage is quite nice, okay? As well as life leech. So this is a good overall, all-around good armor for us. It's the best choice, in my opinion, for the Javazon. Okay. For the Javelin that we're going to be used is an Ethereal Titan's Revenge. And as you can see, the Ethereal gives quite a nice damage boost there. And we'll want to upgrade this to a matriarchal javelin, okay? And this is going to be ethereal isn't going to matter for this because of the auto repair here, okay? Alternatively, you can use a Thunderstroke, but it's not going to be as good. And then of course ethereal, it won't be good because it does not auto repair. But it does give some nice damage with the enemy lightning resist there. But I say that the Titan's Revenge is going to be your ultimate choice. Alright, so for the shield, we're going to go with a Storm Shield here. And for this one, you're going to want to use a Jewel, of course. But for this Jewel, actually, you're going to want all resists and then attack speed. And that's because our resists are quite low, so we want to stack them in the shield, alright? So an alternative shield that some people like to use is the Moser's, and that's because it gives a nice base resist by itself, but some people like to put some ruby facets in there. with lightning, of course. And that's going to give you up to 10 lightning damage and then negative 10 lightning resists. But that is a bit difficult to obtain, all those facets, stuff like that. So Storm Shield, in my opinion, is better. And then, of course, it's going to have damage reduction, which is really nice. So that's what I recommend for this build. Okay, for the gloves, we're going to be going with some rare gloves. Go with the Vamp Braces because they have the lowest strength requirement and they have pretty solid defense here. And you're definitely going to want Javelin with 20 increased attack speed on these, okay? And if possible, Mana Leech would be really, really good. And then you're going to want to focus on the resists that are a bit lower, so such as fire and poison. So go with that. Something like this, and then maybe even dexterity. Okay, so in D2 Resurrected, it's pretty easy to get gold since you auto pick up gold, and you've got a few stashes to store a few million gold in. So go ahead and try to gamble for something like this. That's going to be your best bet for the gloves, okay? Alternatively, you can use some magic gloves. And you can go with the 3 Javelin skills with attack speed. So this gives a nice +1 on top of the rare, but of course they'll only have 2 mods, alright? And then if you are if you don't have rare or magic gloves with Javelin abilities, then this is also a pretty good choice because of the damage to demons and the attack speed, and then it's got some nice fire resists on top of that. But I'm going to recommend going with some rare gloves like these. Try to get something like similar to this. Definitely get Javelin, attack speed, and Mana Leech, and then everything else would be just a nice bonus, but also quite helpful. Alright, for the ring, we're going to go with the Raven Frost here, and that's for the Cannot Be Frozen, and also all these other mods are pretty nice. For the belt, of course, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to be using a Razor Tail, and this is easily upgradable since the Vampire Fang is only going to require 50 strength. But we use this because of the piercing attack. It's got 33% piercing attack on it, and also has some nice dexterity bonus for us there. Now, for the other ring, you could go with a rare ring with Mana, but Mana Leech is the main thing to remember for this one. So just make sure you get Mana Leech in this slot, okay? And then anything else would be just a nice bonus, such as all resist, attack rating, lightning resist, a stat like strength or dexterity. But something like this would be a really good choice, even if you could get like a dual leech with that would be nice, but not really. The life leech here isn't that necessary because we've got life leech on our titans and life leech on our chains of honor. So yeah, just make sure in this slot you get Mana Leech. And if you don't have a rare ring, you haven't gambled for it yet, go with a Mana Heal ring because you're going to definitely at least want that 7% Mana Leech, okay? Because this will be one of the only places we get Mana Leech if we don't have any in our gloves, and we definitely need at least some Mana Leech because we need to leech back mana for our Lightning Fury attack. Alright. For the boots, we're going to just go with a Water Walk, and you can upgrade those to Scarab Shell, so that's going to be quite nice. Okay. Now, Let's go ahead and fill out our charms here, because we're going to need an Annihilus, of course, and a torch, an Amazon torch. And with that, we should have, yeah. So as you can see, our Pierce here is level 10. We really only needed level 9. But we have 10, which is nice. So with that, we're going to be able to get 100% Pierce with our Razor Tail combined with our level 10 Pierce skill ability here. Okay? So I just wanted to make a note of that. Now, as you can see, we're pretty much covered in everything. Our resists are max here, and our damage reduction is also quite high, 43%. But as you can see, our hit recovery is a bit low, so I recommend getting some small charms with balance on them. And you can go with any resist mods, really. We'll go ahead and just go with a shimmering small charm here, and we'll clone that. Get a couple of these. You can even go with a fine small charm for the attack rating and max damage, but you'll definitely just want to focus on balance as well with that. So something like this, get about 20% hit recovery with your charm setup at least, and then you'll be good. You'll be at the 8-frame breakpoint, so you'll be okay in dealing with getting hit by monsters. You won't totally get stun locked in your animation. So I think that getting some charms to get a little bit of breakpoint with your hit recovery is a good idea. Now, if you wanted to go a little bit even further with that, you can go with the Javelin abilities here, and go with balance on that, and then you'll be at the 32% faster hit recovery. So you'll be at the 7-frame faster hit recovery breakpoint, and that's pretty solid in my opinion. Alright, so now that we have our stats and our charms here, let's go ahead and look at what kind of stats we're going to look at. So here we go. We're going to take these off because those give strength, and that gives dexterity and stuff, and that gives strength as well. So let's go ahead and add in our strength, because we're going to put on our heavy pieces. And 91 for the Scarab Shell boots. And I think we need just about 103 for the Archon plate. And that'll help us put on these. And we can put on our Titan's Revenge here with all of the plus dexterity that we have. And since Titan's Revenge gives plus 20 strength and plus 20 dexterity, we'll be able to add just a bit more strength here, and boom, we should be able to wear the Monarch, and we've got all of our gear on. Nice. Now the thing is here, of course, we're gonna need our weapon swap, and for our weapon swap we're gonna go with the Spirit Monarch, but go with an ethereal one. And then of course the faster cast rate won't matter for an ethereal one, but we really just need it for the +2 skills so that we can cast our Call to Arms. Go with a Crystal Sword, or Flail is okay as well. But we're really going to need to cast our Battle Command and Battle Orders with the extra plus skills on that. Okay, and as you can see, I can't even wear that Ethereal Monarch, so we're going to need just a bit more strength to wear that. 146, since it's an ethereal one, as you can see. So that will be enough strength, alright? And if you happen to have strength from charms and other things, that would also help. But just to show that this build, just to show that it's pretty streamlined, we're going to just use add a little bit of strength there. All right. Since we get 20 from our Titan's Revenge, yeah, it's not helpful when we swap, so just make sure you get 146 there. All right. Now for our dexterity, as you can see, Storm Shield has pretty high base block with 72%. So we need to, we want to max our block because we don't want to get hit by monsters. We want to block their attacks. So as you can see, just a bit more dexterity and we should be up to 75% block. Boom, about 220 dexterity, and we're going to have max block with our Storm Shield, so that is pretty nice. Alright, and then the rest of our points, dump those into Vitality, and boom, we're set. So as you can see, we got almost 1,600 life, almost 1,700 life here. So that is pretty solid, okay? That is pretty solid. Alright. Now, if we switch to our weapon swap here, and we do our battle command, and then our battle orders, boom, that's going to bring us up to 2,800 life there. Quite nice. Okay. With all of that vitality we added in, yeah, about 3k life. That's pretty great, okay? So, let's take a look at our stats here. As you can see, our single charged ability, Charge Strike, that's some pretty high damage. Of course, it's factoring in all the bolts at once. But if you're sending out charged bolts with, up to 9k damage, that's pretty good. And then, of course, the normal attack itself is going to have about 12k damage, just single target. So, yeah, this is why we use Charge Strike as our single target ability. And of course, Lightning Fury has got about 12.9k, almost 13k. And then it's going to send bolts out, and these bolts are quite unique, and because if the Javelin goes through the target, the Javelin will release bolts again upon hitting the next target. So that's why Lightning Fury is an amazing ability for running in like cow level, Chaos Sanctuary. Of course, you have to watch out for lightning immunes, but we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, Throne of Destruction. It's Javazons are pretty strong builds, and that's why they're so popular. Okay. Whoops. Let's go back. And we're going to restore that. All right. So, yeah. All right. So, let's talk about the Merc now. And I just want to point out a couple more things, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up the build. So for the Merc, definitely going to need an Act 2 Merc because they're going to act as a sort of a meat shield for you. But depending on what your main like lack is, or what your playstyle is, it'll depend on which aura you go for here. So you can go with a prayer Merc if you feel like you want to increase your life regen, because oh wait, actually it doesn't show prayer. Prayer's down here. Yeah, so it's gonna heal you over time. If you feel like you don't want to use potions or something like that, go ahead and go with the prayer Merc. Okay. If you want to add more defense, you can go with a defensive Merc. If you feel like your attack rating is low and you aren't leeching enough, of course, Lightning Fury is going to count as a spell. The lightning portion will count as a spell, but there's also a physical portion to Lightning Fury. Okay? The missile portion here, as you can see. And that is going to be what determines your leech. Okay, so you leech from the physical portion, so it's important that you have some of your physical portion hitting to leech back. So if you feel like you're not leeching back enough, you're not hitting enough with that physical, then go with the Blessed Aim Merc, because that's going to give you the Blessed Aim aura. So that's the offensive normal. Now, if you want to go for the defensive Merc with Holy Freeze to slow down enemies, that's also a pretty good choice. Okay, so just however your playstyle goes, that's going to determine kind of what your Merc aura choice is going to be. All right, now for the Merc Gear, it's going to be Andes, of course, Ethereal if possible, Ral Rune, or even a Ral Rune to negate that fire resist, but also the Jewel, the Ruby, and this will be the fire resist variant, Jewel of Fervor. Okay, it's going to be the best in slot on that. And for his armor, it's going to be Fortitude, of course, Sacred, Ethereal, and since we can't Ethereal Bug anymore, unfortunately, Superior actually would be okay, but it's not necessary. It's just going to add, 150 defense or so, as you can see, with a max Superior roll there. And then, of course, the weapon. So this is also going to depend a bit on your playstyle, because if you're really struggling with mana there, then you're going to want to go with like a Insight, right? And a Colossus Valge or something like that, an ethereal one. But the main weapon you'll want for this guy is going to be an Infinity. And you can go with a Giant Thresher, or you can go with a Thresher. It has slightly different strength and dex requirements, but they both have the same attack speed, and they both have, on average, pretty similar damage. Of course, the Giant Thresher is going to have lower max damage, but more consistent average damage. More consistent, like a higher damage. Whereas, on average, they both have the same, but you can have a chance of getting a lower hits and damage with just a regular Thresher. So I go with the Giant Thresher. They both have the same attack speed with the Merc as well. And then, of course, you'll want an ethereal one. And in Infinity, you'll have that Conviction aura against enemies, and that's going to be super key when breaking lightning resists, especially in places like Chaos Sanctuary and Throne of Destruction, where those lightning resist enemies are quite annoying. But this is why a lot of Javazons use Infinity. Okay? So this is my build, guys. I'm going to have a link to this in the video description below. So go ahead and check that out. If you want to get this exact setup that I have here, including all the equipment and items and alternate items, they'll all be listed down in here. And that's going to be it for this build, guys. Thank you so much. If you enjoyed it, give it a like and a subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video, alright? Peace.